sisters, for taking this as a last-minute part. We appreciate that. And, certainly the initial call is extremely important. So what we say and how we say it will help us in coming back for a return visit, which we'll go into now. And we have Brother Derek Yu and Yuki Kim.
Hi, can I help you?
Hi, Yuki. I'm not sure if you remember me, but my name is Derek, and I visited you earlier this month and dropped off a magazine called The Awake.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, so I'm hoping I'm not catching you at a bad time, but I just wanted to follow up with you to see if you had a chance to read any of the articles in the magazine.
Yeah, I took a glance at that first article. It was talking about how the world was out of control now.
Yeah, that's right. What that article pointed out was that there seems to be a lot more weapons of mass destruction or natural disasters in the world now more than ever.
Yeah, after I read that article, it made me think about the stuff that's going on, like nuclear weapons in North Korea and all those wildfires affecting California right now.
Yeah, I agree. It certainly seems like the world is almost self-destructing, so to speak, year after year. The Bible actually predicts that. Do you mind if I actually share a scripture with you? I didn't get a chance to do that the last time that you were on your way out.
Yeah, sure, yeah, I've done that.
Okay, great. So I have Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 23 here. And it says, I well know, O Jehovah, that man's way does not belong to him. It does not belong to man who is walking even to direct his steps. So what we can see from the scripture is that humans, quite frankly, were not meant to provide permanent solutions to this world's problems.
Yeah, it's interesting. Years past I would have maybe disagreed, but seeing who's running in the U.S. right now,
Right.
I think that statement is probably more true now than ever before.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way.
Just a quick question about the scripture you read there.
Oh, sure.
It had mentioned the name Jehovah. Who is that referring to?
Oh, that's a great question. There's actually another article in that same magazine that kind of discusses that. Do you have that magazine handy with you?
Yeah.
Get out of here. Great. Oh, perfect. On you. So if you actually turn to the back there, it's on page 15, and there's a heading there that says God's name. So if you have maybe a minute or two, do you mind reading the first half of the third paragraph?
Sure. It says, in the Bible, God declares, I am Jehovah. That is my name. I give my glory to no one else. Jehovah is an English translation of the four Hebrew consonants YHWH, which constitute the divine name. That name appears some 7,000 times in the Hebrew scriptures.
Yeah, so thanks for reading that. So based on the information you see here, what does it tell you about the name Jehovah?
I guess that's God's personal name. I never heard that before. But I do have a question here. I mean, it says here that the name Jehovah appears in the Hebrew scriptures like 7,000 times. I mean, from my reading of some of the scriptures in the Bible, I don't ever recall seeing that. Why would that be?
Oh, well, that's a great question. If you actually direct your attention to the little footnote at the bottom, it says that many Bible translations omit God's name and replace it with the title Lord in capital letters. Is that something that you're a bit more familiar with?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I remember that when I was going to church. But, I mean, why would the name be omitted?
Oh, well, you're just having all the great questions today. That might be a little bit hard to answer right now. So maybe what I can do is come back next week, and what I can do is give you a personal copy of the Bible that we use. And in the appendix section, it actually does explain why the name has been omitted, and why it needs to be restored.
Okay, yeah, sounds interesting.
Well, great. So maybe same time next week?
Yeah, see you then.
Great.
Well, thank you very much, Brother Yu. Very good part. Wish all our calls had questions like that. It's very Of course, we need to be prepared, which you showed to be prepared because you read the magazine, so you knew exactly where to go. So that was very good. You were working on accurately timed and properly proportioned parts. Now, this is extremely important when we have parts. So what do we need to do? According to the Ministry School Guidebook, we need to deliver your talk within the allotted time, which you did very well. You were right on time. And use the appropriate portions of your time for each part of the talk. Why is this important? Because sufficient time needs to be allotted to each of the main points. The introduction is very important, and then we have the meat of the part, and then we have a conclusion. Our meetings are scheduled to begin and end at specific times. So achieving this requires the cooperation of everyone. So you cooperated very nicely, you were right on time, so that's great. Achieving good timing, we need to prepare by timing ourselves, timing our parts. Right? And if we're doing a return visit, as we did here, then we know we've only got a limited amount of time. Usually the person only gives us a limited amount of time. We don't want to overstay. We want to be prepared for that and be ready to leave, make our specific point. Then that way we're not going over too many subjects, and we remember why we were there, which is very, very important. So thank you very much for your part, Brother Yu. Really appreciate that. And now we'll have a Bible study. Yes. And Sister Chow will have that with her assistant, Courtney.
Alright, so the first question in the lesson is, why did God create the earth? Can I get you to start us off with the first paragraph? Sure. Jehovah gave the earth to men and women. It is our home. Therefore, the first human couple, Adam and Eve, were not created to populate the heavens. God had already created angels to live in heaven. Rather, God took the first man and settled him in a delightful paradise called the Garden of Eden. Jehovah gave him and his future offspring the prospect of enjoying life without end on earth. Thanks. Oh, actually, we have the two read scriptures in Psalms 37:29 and 1:15 or 16. Can I get you to read that too? Sure. Verse 29 reads, "The righteous will possess the earth, and they will live forever on it." And verse 16, "As for the heavens, they belong to Jehovah, but the earth he has given to the sons of men." Okay, thanks so much for reading. So, as you know, one popular belief is that the earth is only a temporary residence, and that good people go to heaven after they die. Keeping in mind everything we just read, though, what does the Bible say on the subject matter? Well, Psalm 115 verse 16 says that heaven belongs to Jehovah and his angels, but Jehovah created the earth to give to us humans. So humans weren't meant to populate the heaven. That's what the earth is for. Right, and what about Psalm 37:29? What does that say about God's purpose for the earth? That would be inhabited by righteous people who would live forever on it. Right. And Jehovah, he created Adam and Eve with exactly that prospect. But seeing the world the way it is now, would you say that's the case? No, not at all. Well, before we continue, let's get the second paragraph read, and I can do it this time. It says, "Originally, only the Garden of Eden was a paradise. The first human couple would fill the earth with their offspring. In time, they were to subdue the entire globe and make it a paradise. The earth will never be destroyed. It will always be mankind's home." So here we learn that God placed Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and gave them what assignment? Well, it says the first human couple were to fill the earth with their offspring, and in time subdue the entire globe and make it a paradise. Yeah, and that's recorded for us in Genesis 1 verse 28 and chapter 2 verse 13. And just looking at them quickly, so Jehovah tells Adam and Eve in chapter 1 verse 28 to be fruitful and become many, fill the earth and subdue it, and have in subjection the fish of the sea and flying creatures of the heavens and every living creature that is moving upon the earth. The chapter 2 verse 15 tells us that Jehovah took Adam and settled him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate it and take care of it.